Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the Strategic Foresight course at the Geneva Center for Security Policy. My name is Clarisa Rios Rojas, and I'm a research associate at the Center for the Study of Existential Risk at the University of Cambridge. Today, I will be talking about how we use Foresight for our work, and I'm going to use two examples to explain a little bit more about how we do it. So what do we do at the center? We are dedicated to the study and mitigation of risks that could lead to human extinction or civilization collapse. For that, we have different avenues of research. One of them is managing extreme technological risk. Other one is how do we think about and how do we prepare for global catastrophic risks associated to biological risks, such as bioweapons, for example. And also risks coming from global environment and from the misuse of artificial intelligence. So as you can see, these are type of events that have not happened yet. So it's very difficult sometimes to do research about something that is in the future. So for that, we use Foresight. And as you might have learned during the course of this course that is provided by the GCSP, Foresight can help us to think about the future and predict different type of scenarios, and then it really make us think about what can we do now in order to prevent certain futures or get the ones that we really want. So the first example I'm going to talk about is about bioengineering. So what is bioengineering? Well, this is a discipline that applies engineering principles of design and analysis to biological systems or biomedical technologies. You may have heard about bioengineering when you hear about artificial organs, limbs, computer simulation for surgery, neurotechnology, or regenerative medicine. So what did we do in this study? What we decided to do was to use horizon scanning, which is a foresight technique that helps us to identify the opportunities and threats associated with technological, regulatory, and social change. As you can see on the image in this slide, this is the publication that we did. We were 36 authors from different parts of the world, and we got together to think about what are the most important issues in bioengineering that are going to be important in 5, 10, and 15 years. This is the main outcome of that process, as I mentioned, using horizon scanning. And as you can see, we have identified different topics in a wide variety of areas. As I mentioned, some are more related to the social impact, technological impact, or regulatory impact. For example, in the social, we have that within 5 years, we're going to have philanthropists more immersed on conducting or writing what is the bioscience research agendas. In the area of technology, we are going to have neuronal probes expanding new sensory capabilities. So that means that we are going to enhance our brain in order to do things that we are not able to do right now, or maybe to do it in a higher extent. And then when we talk about regulatory work, for example, in 10 years, we are going to be thinking about what are the regulations that we need to implement in order to manage, prevent, or regulate cognitive enhancement, which can be because of the neuronal probes, or it can be because of our the connections that we are doing with our brains, right? With our brains and computers or artificial intelligence. And based on this study that we published on eLife recently, what we are doing now is trying to look for ways on how to approach science to society. So what we decided to do is to go for comics arts. And now, thanks to two Greek artists, Myrto and Dimitris, we have developed 3 pages of comics that talk a little bit about what this scientific study was about and what are the things that it means for citizens in the future and in the present. So if you take a closer look, you will see these female scientists talking about, in Cambridge, we gathered 30 experts to think about the impact of bioengineering issues in 5, 10, 15 years. And then she starts explaining what the future scenarios could look like based on this, based on what we discovered in this study. And the second example that I want to talk about, because I know I don't have much time, is about how we can use Foresight for training academics and civil servants. In this case, we did a collaboration with IPPR, which is a think tank in London, and we decided to put together environmental breakdown and Foresight. And we also have a workshop with participants from different parts of the world. And what we really did was to teach them how to use Foresight tools in order to think about how potentially the growing destabilization resulting from environmental breakdown and the implications for those that are seeking more sustainable, equitable, and resilient societies, which is everyone that was a participant in our workshop. And what you can see on the left side, which looks like a crazy diagram, is actually causal loop diagrams that were combined with future scenarios in order to make them use this, to make them think about the future and use these Foresight methods. And with these future scenarios, what we did was to present them with 5 different scenarios in the future in 2050, 2070, and 2030. And then we project them to what is happening. In this case was the green energy was well established. In the other case was that coal, the fuel industry was the one that was still prevalent. The other one was that biodiversity was completely, almost reaching a point of complete loss. And then we mix it with these causal loop diagrams where we start thinking about which are the drivers, what are the weak signals that lead us to think that this may happen, and how they are interconnected and how they influence each other. And we're still, we have done 2 workshops, and our 3rd workshop is still coming, and we are planning to do some publications from it. And what is the most interesting thing is that everyone in this workshop is thinking how, from my work, from my institution, I can start doing things now in order to prevent these future scenarios that were a little bit gloomy. And that's all for today, and I'm really looking forward for your questions and the discussion. Thanks.